In the hills of North Georgia, a young mom named Mimi walked into the Walmart in Cornelia one Tuesday evening in October 2024. She was there to sell a photo to someone who'd reached out about it, just a quick side thing she did as an influencer. She never made it back to her car. That night turned her family's world upside down. It left her friends and her online community reeling, and it still has investigators trying to figure out exactly what happened. This is the story of Minelys Zoe Rodriguez Ramirez. Everyone called her Mimi. It's about a woman who loved her daughter more than anything, who kept pushing forward no matter what life threw at her, and about all the questions her family is still living with. Mimi grew up in Puerto Rico as the youngest of her mom Carmen's kids. She had a tough start. By 13, she was in the juvenile justice system, and at 15, she had her daughter Minelys. But she didn't let any of that define her. She fought hard to get custody, started sharing her life online, and tried to turn the hard parts into something that could help other people. 6 years before she died, she moved to Georgia for a job at Mount Vernon Mills. She wanted stability for her family. She settled in Cornelia with her fiancé Julio Tovor, not far from Clarksville. On TikTok, she went by the same name a lot of people still know her by. She posted workout videos, stories about being a mom, and honest talks about her past. At one point, she had more than 40,000 followers. To all of them, she was just Mimi, full of energy, tough as hell, and completely devoted to her 9-year-old daughter. Julio put it simply when he remembered her. She treasured her daughter. Her last message to her mom was short and sweet. It just said, "Te amo, mommy." I love you, mommy. By October 2024, things felt pretty good for her. She had Julio, her online people, and real plans for the future. Then Tuesday, October 22nd, everything changed. Around 9:30 that night, she drove to the Walmart. She was meeting someone who wanted to buy one of her photos. Nothing unusual. Security footage shows her walking inside. Her car stayed parked right outside the lot. While she was still in the store, she was on the phone with Julio. She saw someone she knew, or at least someone she felt okay talking to, and she stopped to chat. She didn't sound scared at all. That was the last time Julio heard her voice. A little while later, a text came through from her phone. It said, "I am waiting for the brother to pick him up." Julio read it and knew right away something was off. The wording just wasn't her. "It didn't make sense," he told reporters later. "She doesn't talk like that." The next morning, Wednesday the 23rd, her family realized something was really wrong. Her mom, Carmen, called the Habersham County Sheriff's Office and reported her missing. At first, it was a quiet search. Friends, family, local cops checking hospitals, roads, anywhere she might have gone. But days went by with no sign of the 25-year-old mom, so the Georgia Bureau of Investigation got involved. On Monday, October 28th, GBI agents arrested 24-year-old Angel de Jesus Rivera Sanchez from Cornelia. They picked him up in Atlanta and charged him with kidnapping in connection with Mimi's disappearance. The very next day, investigators found human remains in a wooded ravine off Furniture Drive, right behind the Walmart past a Little Caesars. It was an area mostly hidden from cameras. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources helped with the recovery. They believed the remains were Mimi's, and the autopsy later confirmed it. She had been shot multiple times in the face. There were no signs of sexual assault. But one detail stood out. Her underwear had been taken off and hung on a nearby tree, with her body left beside it. Investigators said the scene had a pattern they've seen linked to organized crime, specifically stuff associated with the Mexican mafia. Rivera Sanchez had a tattoo that fit with those kinds of affiliations. Surveillance video later showed Mimi and Rivera Sanchez talking inside or right near the Walmart. He was the person she had stopped to speak with that night. What happened right after that conversation is still the big unknown. Rivera Sanchez was taken into custody, and before he had a lawyer with him, gave investigators 3 different statements. In the first, he said he saw who killed her, but swore it wasn't him. In the second, he claimed strangers grabbed both of them, drove them off, killed her, and let him go. In the third, he admitted he was the one who shot her, but said he did it to end her suffering. He also reportedly helped point investigators toward where the body was found. His defense team later asked the court to throw out all three statements, saying they were taken the wrong way. They also challenged evidence from a search of his home. The case file ended up with more than 5,000 pages. Rivera Sanchez went through 2 different lawyers before his family couldn't afford private counsel anymore, so the public defender's office in the Mountain Judicial Circuit took over. Bond was denied, and he's still being held at the Habersham County Detention Center. Nobody has a clear answer yet on why it happened. Was it a random run-in that went bad? A photo sale that somehow turned deadly? Some people close to the family have quietly wondered if it was a romantic thing that got rejected. Or was it tied to the gang connections investigators mentioned? The authorities have never laid out a solid motive in public. No gun has been found. Rivera Sanchez is charged with both kidnapping and murder, but the full story of that night still hasn't come out in court. Mimi's mom, Carmen, sat through the early hearings. She was in the courtroom, looking at the man charged with killing her daughter, hoping for some kind of explanation. She said she wanted to ask him straight up, "Why did you do it?" But even in all that pain, she's handled herself with real grace. She said she feels bad for his family, too. She carries a lot of hurt, but she's chosen not to hold on to anger. She leaves the justice part to God. Still, she's spoken out and said she doesn't believe her daughter's killer acted by himself. The ripple effect has been quiet and heavy. Mimi's 9-year-old daughter, Minelys, is back in Puerto Rico and still thinks her mom got sick and God took her. The family has protected her from the truth. Carmen lost her own husband years ago to a brain aneurysm, so she's no stranger to grief. She leans on her 5 other kids and goes to counseling every week to deal with the anxiety and the nights she can't sleep. They set up a GoFundMe to bring Mimi home to Puerto Rico for a Christian burial on the island where she was born. Julio lost the woman he was going to marry. The same TikTok comments that used to cheer on Mimi's workouts and life advice now fill up with people mourning her. And the small towns of Cornelia and Clarksville are still carrying the weight of what happened right behind one of their busiest stores. The court process has dragged on. In September 2025, a judge granted a continuance, no objection from the prosecutors, because there's just so much evidence and so many defense motions. As of early 2026, the case is still moving slowly toward trial. Hearings on what evidence can be used are scheduled, with a possible window in late spring. The defense is still fighting hard over what the jury will get to see. Minelys Mimi Rodriguez Ramirez was 25 years old. She was a daughter, a mom, a fiancée, a content creator, and someone who took every hard thing she'd been through and used it to be strong for her little girl. Her last moments are still a blur of unknowns behind that Walmart on a regular Tuesday night. There's that strange text that never sounded like her, the way her body was left, and a suspect whose own changing stories have only made everything more confusing. Why did she stop to talk to Angel de Jesus Rivera Sanchez that night? What actually happened in the minutes after she got off the phone with Julio? Was that text her trying to send some kind of signal, or was someone else making her send it? And if the man charged didn't do it alone, who else was there? The investigation is still going, the family is still waiting, and the questions keep hanging there. Mimi's story isn't just another case. It's the story of a young woman who loved hard, lived out loud, and should have made it home to her daughter. Some cases end with a verdict. Others leave you sitting with everything you might never know. For Mimi's family, the search for answers is still going, and so are the prayers that one day the whole truth comes out. If this story touched you or gave you something to think about, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and drop one word in the comments that best describes how you feel right now. And if you want more stories like this delivered straight to you, join our growing community by subscribing and turning on the bell notification. Every single subscriber helps us keep creating meaningful stories that actually matter. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.